Natalie Chen stared at her computer screen, her eyes burning from another 12-hour workday. The design agency where she worked never slowed down, and neither did she. At 27, she had built a reputation for delivering exceptional work. But the cost was visible in the dark circles under her eyes and the growing pile of takeout containers on her desk. Her phone buzzed with a message from Claire Mitchell, her best friend since their college days. The text read simply, "Rooftop party tonight. My brother is in town. You need a break. No excuses." Natalie smiled despite her exhaustion. Claire had been her rock through every challenge, every late night, every moment of doubt. They had met during freshman orientation and instantly connected over their shared love of terrible horror movies and even worse puns. Claire understood her in ways few people did, which made what Natalie had been hiding for the past 6 months even more complicated. She had never met Claire's older brother Ryan in person. He lived in San Francisco, running his tech company and making headlines with his innovative artificial intelligence platform. Claire spoke about him often, sharing stories of his success mixed with affectionate complaints about his workaholic tendencies. Natalie had seen photos, of course. The sharp jawline, the intense dark eyes, the confident smile that suggested he knew exactly how attractive he was. The first encounter, the rooftop bar overlooked the city skyline, strings of lights creating a warm glow against the evening darkness. Natalie arrived wearing her favorite navy dress, the one that made her feel confident without trying too hard. She spotted Claire immediately, her friend's bright laughter carrying across the crowd. But it was the man standing beside Claire who made Natalie's breath catch. Ryan. Mitchell was taller than she expected, his presence commanding without being overbearing. He wore a simple white shirt with the sleeves rolled up, revealing forearms that suggested he did more than sit behind a desk. When he laughed at something, Claire said, his entire face transformed. It's becoming less intimidating and more approachable. Claire noticed her and waved enthusiastically. Natalie, finally. Come meet my impossible brother. As Natalie approached, Ryan turned his full attention to her. His handshake was firm, his smile genuine, and when their eyes met, something electric passed between them. She felt it in her chest, a flutter of recognition that both thrilled and terrified her. The famous Natalie, Ryan said, his voice deeper than she had imagined. Claire talks about you constantly. The brilliant designer who refuses to leave the office before midnight. The famous Ryan, Natalie replied, keeping her tone light. The tech genius who thinks sleep is optional and coffee is a food group, Claire laughed. See, I told you she'd hold her own against you. Chemistry and conflict throughout the evening. Natalie found herself drawn into conversations with Ryan despite her intentions to keep her distance. He was intelligent without being condescending, asking questions about her work with genuine interest. When she explained her latest project, a rebranding campaign for a struggling nonprofit, his eyes lit up with understanding. That's the kind of work that matters, he said quietly. Not just making things look good, but creating real change, says the man who built an empire before 35, Natalie teased. Trying to maintain the casual banter that felt safer than the intensity building between them, 33 actually. And building a company is easy compared to what you do. I solve technical problems. You solve human ones. The compliment felt sincere, and Natalie found herself warming to him in ways she had not anticipated. They debated everything from design philosophy to the ethics of artificial intelligence, their conversation flowing naturally while the party continued around them. Claire watched them with an expression that was part amusement, part speculation. When Ryan excused himself to take a call, Claire grabbed Natalie's arm. Okay, what was that? What was what? Natalie asked, knowing exactly what her friend meant. That connection between you two? The verbal sparring that looked suspiciously like flirting. Natalie felt heat rise to her cheeks. It was just conversation. Your brother is interesting. That's all. It's interesting, Claire repeated slowly. Right, because you look at interesting people like they hung the moon. Claire, stop. He's your brother. Nothing is happening. But even as she said it, Natalie knew it was a lie. Something was happening, something she could not control or predict. And when Ryan returned, settling back into their conversation as if no time had passed, She felt the truth of it settling into her bones, the growing attraction over the following weeks. Ryan extended his stay in the city. He claimed it was for business meetings, but Claire suspected otherwise. He showed up at their coffee dates, at weekend brunches, at impromptu movie nights. Each encounter deepened the connection between him and Natalie. They discovered shared passions beyond work. Both loved hiking and had spent childhood summers exploring mountains with their families. Both had complicated relationships with success, driven by a need to prove themselves worthy of opportunities they had been given. Both understood the loneliness that came with ambition, the way dreams could isolate you from normal life. One Saturday, Claire organized a group hike. As they climbed the trail, Ryan fell into step beside Natalie. They talked about everything and nothing, their words flowing easily, while the rest of the group moved ahead. Ryan said as they paused at a scenic overlook. "That depends on the question," Natalie replied, her heart racing. "Why do you pull away every time we start to connect? I feel something between us, and I think you do too. But you keep creating distance." Natalie looked out at the valley below, gathering her courage. "Because Claire is my best friend. Because this feels complicated. Because I'm scared of ruining something important." Ryan stepped closer, his voice gentle. "What if we're missing something important by being scared?" Before Natalie could respond, Claire called out from up the trail, breaking the moment. But as they rejoined the group, Natalie knew the question would linger. The feelings she had been trying to hide were becoming impossible to ignore. And the distance she kept creating was starting to feel like the real mistake. Monday morning arrived with an email that made Natalie's stomach drop. Her creative director, Thomas, had accepted a position at another agency. The timing could not have been worse. They were 3 weeks away from presenting a major campaign to Sterling Hotels, a luxury chain that could transform their small agency into an industry leader. The presentation required complete redesigned concepts, marketing strategies, and financial projections that Thomas had been overseeing. Natalie sat in the emergency meeting, watching her colleagues panic. The junior designers were talented but inexperienced. The account manager was brilliant with clients, but weak on creative vision. Everyone looked at her expectantly. "I can take the lead," Natalie heard herself say, though doubt immediately flooded her mind. "But I need help with the business strategy portion. The financial projections and market analysis are beyond my expertise." Her boss nodded slowly. "We need someone who understands luxury markets and can create compelling investment narratives. Do you know anyone?" Natalie thought of Ryan immediately, then pushed the idea away. Working closely with him felt dangerous, given the feelings she was already struggling to contain. But as the meeting continued and no other solutions emerged, she realized she had no choice. That evening, she called Claire first. Needing permission she had no right to ask for. "You want to work with Ryan?" Claire asked, surprise evident in her voice. "I need someone with his expertise. The presentation is everything to our agency. But Claire, if this makes you uncomfortable in any way, I'll find someone else." Claire was quiet for a moment. "Natalie, you're my best friend. Ryan is my brother. If you two can help each other professionally, that's great. Just promise me you'll be honest with me if anything changes between you." "I promise," Natalie said, guilt settling heavy in her chest. Working together, Ian agreed without hesitation. He arrived at her office Tuesday evening carrying his laptop and enough coffee for both of them. He had pushed back meetings in San Francisco, rearranged his schedule, and committed to seeing the project through. "Show me what you have," he said. Settling into the chair across from her desk, Natalie walked him through her vision. Sterling Hotels needed to attract younger travelers without alienating their traditional luxury clientele. Her designs balanced modern minimalism with classic elegance, creating spaces that felt both fresh and timeless. Ryan listened intently, asking questions that sharpened her thinking rather than challenged it. "This is exceptional work," he said finally. "You see things others miss?" The emotional core of what makes people choose one hotel over another. They worked until midnight that first night, building a framework that merged her creative vision with his business acumen. Ryan had a gift for translating artistic concepts into financial language that executives would understand. He asked about her design choices, learning the reasoning behind every color palette and layout decision. "Why did you choose this particular shade of blue?" he asked, pointing to her mock-up, "'cause it's calming but energizing." Hotels are transitional spaces. People need to feel both relaxed and inspired. This blue does both without being obvious about it. Ryan smiled, something warm in his expression. "You think about the human experience in everything you do. That's rare." The compliment settled around Natalie's heart, dangerous and welcome. Moments between the work Wednesday night. Ryan ordered dinner from an Italian restaurant near the office. They ate at the conference table, surrounded by mood boards and spreadsheets. The conversation drifted from work to life, and Natalie found herself sharing stories she rarely told anyone. "My parents owned a small restaurant," she said, twirling pasta on her fork. "They worked 8-hour days to keep it running. I grew up doing homework in the kitchen, falling asleep to the sound of dishes being washed. They sold it to pay for my college education." "That's why you work so hard," Ryan said softly. "Every project is proof that their sacrifice mattered." "How did you know that?" "Because I understand that weight. My father built houses with his hands, worked construction for 40 years. He told me business was for people smarter than us. When I started my company, part of me was proving him wrong. But the bigger part was proving him right about our family having more to offer." Natalie met his eyes across the table. In that moment, she saw past the successful CEO to the boy who had carried his father's doubts like stones in his pockets. They understood each other in ways that went deeper than attraction, though the attraction was certainly there, humming beneath every interaction. "Can I ask you something personal?" Ryan said, his voice hesitant. "You can ask. I might not answer. Why are you single?" "Someone like you? I would think you'd have people lining up," Natalie laughed, but it sounded hollow. "People see the career, the ambition, the long hours. They don't see me. Or they see me as competition rather than a partner. It gets lonely building something meaningful when everyone expects you to choose between success and connection." "You shouldn't have to choose," Ryan said firmly. "The right person would understand that your passion is part of what makes you remarkable." Their eyes held, and Natalie felt the walls she had carefully constructed beginning to crumble. She wanted to reach across the table, to close the distance between them, to stop pretending this was just professional collaboration. Instead, she looked away, returning her attention to the presentation slides that suddenly seemed far less important. The breaking point by Friday. They had created something extraordinary. The presentation told a story that went beyond marketing and into the realm of transformation. Sterling Hotels would not just rebrand but reimagine what luxury hospitality could mean for a new generation. The financial projections were solid, the designs were stunning, and the narrative arc was compelling. They were reviewing final details when Ryan suddenly closed his laptop. "I need to say something, and I need you to really hear me." Natalie's heart began racing. "Ryan, we should focus on the presentation. The presentation is finished. It's brilliant. But I can't keep working beside you and pretending I don't feel what I feel." "Please don't," Natalie whispered, fear and hope tangling in her chest. "I think about you constantly. When I wake up, when I'm in meetings, when I should be focused on anything else. You challenge me, inspire me, make me want to be better than I am. And I know this is complicated because of Claire, but Natalie, what if we're letting fear stop us from something real?" Natalie stood, needing distance to think clearly. "Claire's my best friend. She's the person who has been there for every failure, every success, every moment that mattered. How can I risk that?" Ryan stood too, moving closer but not touching. "What if you're not risking it? What if Claire wants us both to be happy? What if the real risk is walking away from something that could change both our lives? And what happens when it doesn't work out?" Natalie asked, her voice breaking. "When you go back to San Francisco and I stay here? When the attraction fades and we're left with awkwardness that affects everyone we care about? What happens if it does work out?" Ryan countered. "What if we're perfect for each other, and we never know because we were too scared to try?" Natalie felt tears threatening. She wanted this so badly, it terrified her. Wanted him, wanted the possibility he represented, wanted to believe that love and career and friendship could all coexist. But fear was a powerful thing, and she had spent years building walls to protect herself from exactly this kind of vulnerability. "I need time," she said finally. "I need to think about this without you standing so close that I can't breathe properly." Ryan nodded, disappointment and understanding mixing in his expression. "Take all the time you need. But Natalie, know that I'm already sure. I'm sure about you, about us, about what we could build together, and I'll wait as long as it takes for you to be sure too." He left then, and Natalie stood alone in her office, surrounded by the presentation they had created together. She thought about Claire, about honesty and trust. She thought about her parents' sacrifice and what it meant to choose happiness. She thought about Ryan and the way he saw her completely, challenging and supporting her in equal measure. And somewhere in the silence of that moment, Natalie began to realize that the scariest thing was not taking a chance on love. The scariest thing was letting it walk away because she had been too afraid to reach for it. Saturday morning found Natalie sitting across from Claire at their favorite coffee shop, the one they had been coming to since college. Sunlight streamed through the windows, casting warm patterns across their table. Natalie had barely slept, her mind replaying every conversation with Ryan, every moment of connection, every reason she had built to keep them apart. Claire stirred her latte, watching Natalie with concern. "You look exhausted. Is the presentation ready?" "The presentation is perfect. Ryan was incredible. He helped me create something better than I could have imagined."
Oh.
"So why do you look like you're about to cry?" Natalie took a deep breath, knowing this conversation would change everything. "Because I need to tell you something, and I'm terrified of how you'll react." Claire set down her cup, giving Natalie her full attention. "You can tell me anything, you know that. I have feelings for Ryan, real feelings that go beyond attraction or admiration. And he has feelings for me too. We've been trying to ignore it, to focus on work. But Claire, it's becoming impossible. Every time I'm with him, I feel more alive than I have in years. He sees me in ways no one else does. He challenges me and supports me and makes me believe I can have both career and connection." The words tumbled out in a rush, and Natalie watched Claire's face carefully, searching for anger or betrayal. Instead, she saw something that looked suspiciously like amusement. "Natalie, I know. What? I've known for weeks, maybe longer. The way you two look at each other, the way your whole energy shifts when he walks into a room. You're my best friend. Did you really think I wouldn't notice?" Natalie felt tears spilling down her cheeks. "You're not angry?" Claire reached across the table, taking Natalie's hands in hers. "Why would I be angry? You're the most genuine person I know. Ryan is my brother, and I love him despite his workaholic tendencies and his terrible taste in action movies. If you two have found something real together, that makes me happy. Not angry, but what if it doesn't work out? What if we try this and it falls apart and then everything becomes awkward and complicated? What if it does work out?" Claire echoed Ryan's words from the night before. "What if you two are perfect? For each other? Natalie, you've spent your entire life playing it safe, protecting yourself from disappointment. Maybe it's time to take a risk on something that could be extraordinary." Natalie laughed through her tears. "When did you become so wise?" "I learned from the best," Claire said, squeezing her hands. "Now go tell my brother that you're done being scared. He's been miserable since yesterday, checking his phone every 5 minutes like a lovesick teenager." The Sterling presentation Monday arrived with nervous energy that had nothing to do with the presentation. Natalie dressed carefully in a charcoal suit that made her feel powerful and professional. She arrived at the Sterling Hotel's headquarters an hour early, reviewing notes and steadying her breathing. Ryan appeared 15 minutes before the meeting, looking devastatingly handsome in a navy suit. Their eyes met across the lobby, and something passed between them that needed no words. He had given her space, but the questions still hung in the air. Waiting for her answer, the presentation room was impressive, with floor-tisseling windows overlooking the city. The Sterling executives filed in, led by Margaret Sterling herself, a woman known for her exacting standards and sharp business instincts. Natalie began the presentation, her voice steady, despite the nerves dancing in her stomach. She walked them through the design concepts, explaining how each element served both aesthetic and psychological purposes. Ryan took over for the business, portioned his confidence and expertise evident in every word. Together, they created a narrative that was greater than the sum of its parts. Margaret Sterling asked pointed questions, her expression unreadable. She challenged their market analysis, questioned their demographic assumptions, and pushed back on their timeline projections. But Natalie and Ryan responded as a team, their answers complementing each other seamlessly. When the presentation ended, silence filled the room.
Oh?
Margaret looked between them, then down at the materials spread across the table. "This is the most comprehensive and thoughtful proposal we've received," she said finally. "You've understood not just what we need, but why we need it. The emotional intelligence in this work is remarkable." Natalie felt Ryan's hand brush against hers under the table, brief touch of celebration and support. Margaret continued, "We'd like to move forward with your agency, but I have one condition. We want both of you on this project. Your partnership clearly works, and we need that energy driving our rebrand." Natalie's mind raced. Ryan lived in San Francisco. His company was there, his life was there. This project would take months, requiring constant collaboration and communication. She looked at him, searching for hesitation or reluctance. Instead, she saw certainty. "We'd be honored," Ryan said, his eyes never leaving Natalie's face. Choosing happiness, they left the building in a daze. The contract negotiations set for later that week. The afternoon sun was warm, the city bustling with midday energy. They walked without destination, side by side, but not touching. "You don't have to do this," Natalie said finally. "You have a company to run. You can find another business strategist for the project." Ryan stopped walking, turning to face her. "Do you want me to find someone else?" "No," she admitted. "I want you, for the project and for everything else. But Ryan, I need you to understand what you're getting into. Difficult and stubborn. I work too much and forget to eat. I have trust issues from past relationships that ended badly. I'm scared of failing and even more scared of succeeding because success feels like pressure I can't escape. Are you trying to talk me out of this?" "I'm trying to be honest about who I am." Ryan stepped closer, his hand coming up to cup her cheek. "Natalie, I know who you are. You're brilliant and passionate and brave in ways you don't even recognize. You care deeply about everything you do, which means you feel everything intensely. You push yourself because you believe in the work, not because you need to prove anything. And yes, you're stubborn and you work too much. But so do I. Maybe that means we understand each other in ways other people wouldn't. What about San Francisco? What about your company? I have a capable team. I can work remotely for this project. And honestly, I've been thinking about opening an East Coast office. This gives me a reason to explore that possibility." Natalie felt the last of her resistance crumbling. "I talked to Claire. She knows about us. She's known for weeks, apparently." "I talked to her too," Ryan admitted. "Yesterday, after I left your office, I told her I was falling for her best friend and asked if she'd be okay with me pursuing you. She told me to stop being an idiot and just tell you how I feel." "She called you an idiot." "Affectionately. She also said you deserve someone who sees how remarkable you are. I intend to spend a very long time proving that I'm that person." Natalie's heart felt too full for her chest. "I'm falling for you too. I've been falling since that first night on the rooftop when you challenged everything I said and made me laugh at the same time. I've been terrified of it, but Claire helped me realize that the real fear should be missing out on something real because I was too scared to try." Ryan smiled, the kind of smile that transformed his entire face. "So you're saying yes? To us? To this? To seeing where it goes?" "I'm saying yes to all of it. The project, the relationship, the terrifying and wonderful possibility that we might actually work together." He pulled her close then, his lips meeting hers in a kiss that felt like coming home and setting off on an adventure at the same time. People walked past them on the busy sidewalk, but Natalie barely noticed. She was too focused on the feeling of Ryan's arms around her, the certainty settling into her bones that this was right. 6 months later, the Sterling Hotel's rebrand had exceeded everyone's expectations. Campaign won industry awards and brought Natalie's agency more clients than they could handle. She'd been promoted to creative director, finally given the recognition her talent deserved. Ryan had indeed opened an East Coast office, splitting his time between San Francisco and the city. It was not always easy. There were late-night video calls when time zones separated them, weekends spent traveling, moments of frustration when work demands pulled them in different directions. But there were also mornings waking up together, collaborative projects that pushed them both creatively, quiet evenings cooking dinner side by side. They had learned each other's rhythms, the way Ryan needed silence first thing in the morning, while Natalie woke up ready to talk, how she needed reassurance when projects stressed her, while he needed space to think through problems alone. Claire had become their biggest cheerleader, taking credit for their relationship despite having done nothing to facilitate it beyond being herself. She loved reminding them both that she had known all along they were perfect for each other. On a Saturday evening, 6 months after that first presentation, Natalie stood on a different rooftop. This one belonged to Ryan's new apartment, overlooking the city skyline. He had invited Claire and a few close friends to celebrate the lease signing, but Natalie knew there was more to the gathering. As the sun set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Ryan took her hand and led her to the railing. Behind them, their friends grew quiet. 6 months ago, Ryan began, his voice steady but emotional, I met a woman who challenged everything I thought I knew about connection and partnership. She was brilliant and stubborn and scared of letting anyone see her completely. But she took a chance on us anyway, even when fear told her to run. Natalie felt tears gathering, knowing what was coming and not quite believing it.
Natalie Chen?
You've taught me that love doesn't compete with ambition. It enhances it. You make me better at everything I do because you believe in me, even when I doubt myself. You've shown me what it means to build something meaningful, not just in business but in life. He knelt then, pulling a small box from his pocket. Inside was a simple ring, elegant and timeless, exactly what she would have chosen herself. I love you completely. I love your passion and your dedication. I love how you see beauty in everything and fight for what matters. Will you marry me? Will you build a life with me where we support each other's dreams and create new ones together? Natalie looked down at the man she loved, at Claire standing nearby with tears streaming down her face, at the city spread out below them, full of possibility. She thought about her parents' sacrifice and what it meant to honor it by choosing happiness. She thought about fear and courage and the difference between the two. Yes, she said, her voice strong and sure. Yes to all of it. To the life we'll build, to the dreams we'll chase together, to every challenge and triumph that comes our way. Ryan stood, sliding the ring onto her finger before pulling her into a kiss that felt like promise and celebration combined. Their friends cheered, Claire loudest of all, and Natalie felt gratitude wash over her. She had spent so long protecting herself from hurt that she had almost missed out on joy. But she had taken the risk, chosen vulnerability over safety, and found something more valuable than any career achievement or personal accomplishment. She had found love that made everything else more meaningful. And standing there on that rooftop, surrounded by people who cared about them, Natalie knew with absolute certainty that she had made the right choice. The feelings she had tried so hard to hide had become the foundation of something beautiful, and she could not wait to see what they would build together.